Hello and welcome to the video. This is my video on this little car here. This, believe it or not, is a little FPV car. Now this isn't the first one I've looked at on the channel. I have looked at others. The last one was from Diatone and Amazing Fun. And these are great ways to get people into the hobby. Or like me, if you're staring down the end of summer and looking at winter, something to play with while the wind and the rain is driving outside and the sun's hiding its face until spring. Now that last car that I looked at was from Diatone. That was a 1:76 scale, and this one is from an outfit called SNT. Now SNT is a brand that actually includes people like Diatone, Mamba, and this thing here, which is Just Air, which is what this is branded for. So they're all part, I guess, of the same company ultimately, and that's nice to know because I actually like Diatone stuff. They tend to make pretty decent kit. And it looks like the Diatone part of that group of companies is going to continue to do things like for drone parts, and the Just Air, which is a bit of an odd way round because I thought the other way would have made more sense, but Just Air is going to be for these little cars. So when this arrived, even though I kind of ordered it thinking it was a Diatone thing, it was branded with SNT and Just Air. Now they are running on the website an option from now until the end of September. Every day they're giving away one of these cars, so 30 cars in total. You can go on there and put your details in and spin the wheel and hopefully win one of these if you are interested. But I thought what it would be fun to do would be to show you what comes in the box. I've got the full version here that comes with the car, the remote, and also a little FPV goggle as well, and to have a look at what they're all like and how they work. First thing to talk about is the car. This is a 25mm wheelbase that features full proportional steering. Let's turn on the remote first of all. The little light flashes on the top to turn the car on. There's a USB-C charging port that you have to use it, and then a little button here to power it on. Then once it's powered on and connected, then we have, hopefully you can see that, full proportional steering, as well as forward and reverse. There is the ability to change the power levels, the speed. I'll show you that on the thing in a minute. However, what you're probably seeing is lights coming on and off, and that's because, believe it or not, you can actually control all the lights from the remote. This is full headlights. We have off, dim, and full as well, so you can decide with that. At the back, we have the turn signals. So as you turn left and right, they flash, and you also have brakes as well. And then you have the forward and reverse gears. You're probably spotting that my tyres are absolutely full of rubbish, and they are little rubber tyres. So I would recommend cleaning them regularly to maintain the grip. It has got suspension on it, not a lot. It's got a little bit of suspension on the front, none on the back. So you do lose traction very quickly if you go any kind of little bump on the floor. Ground clearance is only about 1.5mm. That does mean, unfortunately, that anything more than a very flat carpet or a flat floor is going to get the car into trouble. And that's a little bit of a shame because I would have preferred to run this all over lots of different places. It's incredible fun. Now, of course, the other thing you're spotting here is the fact that there is a whacking great FPV camera stuck on the top. It's actually really small, but it looks big on top of such a dinky little car. This is a little 480p camera, 25 milliwatts, looks like it's transmitting on band A from what I can see here, and it gives a really cute image. So if I just show you what that looks like very quickly, so let's turn the radio on again, power on the car, and also let's power on the goggles. Again, these goggles come in the kit. There's nothing on the goggles at the moment. You can see it's just static. You can actually turn the FPV on from the remote, and there we are. We're actually seeing what the car can see, and once it kind of gets a lock on, then you know what, as you move around and you drive, it actually provides a really nice view. So now we've looked at the car, let's have a quick look at the remote, talk about that next. So the remote itself is one of the nicer ones that I've had out of these kind of smaller kits, because rather than being super plasticky, this is just plasticky, but it actually performs quite nicely. Now, let me just turn it off. On the side, we have the power button that's a slide. We have the power buttons for 17 and 100% power. We have a little port at the side which you can use to charge the car. The adapter for which is in the bottom. We'll see that in a moment. We have the controls on the top for controlling all the different lights and also turning the FPV camera on the top on and off. It's nice you can run it without the FPV camera. And then you have the trims for the steering. The steering itself, that interestingly is a little bit wider than normal. This is a 56mm steering wheel on this thing, and it has a 40-degree rotation, which does help. However, as I'll talk in a minute, this car is quite quick. It's easy to break traction, particularly if you start to get a lot of muck on your tyres. Standard trigger control for forwards and reverse. At the back, under this, we have the battery compartment. This reviewer sample is powered by an 18650. However, in the real version, it'll be powered by AAA batteries in a little adapter. And then the other thing in here is the little adapter that goes in the side, which is what you use to charge the car when you're out and about. I would recommend putting a little bit of foam or something in the bit where this is kept, because it rattles around like crazy. And I thought when I first got this in and started playing with it that something was broke. It's not. That horrible rattle is just that piece bouncing around inside. To power it on, you just slide that switch. You get the lights on top that flash, and also quite nicely there's haptic feedback. Whenever you press any of the buttons, it buzzes to let you know that's the case. Now the big thing you've noticed here is the fact that this is on an angle. Now I wasn't sure about this when I first got it, but having driven this, I really like this as a setup, because actually it's very natural for you to hold in your hands and rotate the wheel to control the car. So if I just make sure there's no muck on my desk, because it's incredibly sensitive to that. There we go, we'll turn the car on. Actually doing all of the steering via this little steering wheel while you've got it at this angle is really, really nice. I like this. I would prefer to have it like this on other controllers from here on in. Last thing to talk about then are the goggles. The goggles are not bad. They're the very basic box styles we've already seen. Single Fresnel lens. There sadly is no adjustability in terms of focus, and also disappointingly, unless you have really thin glasses, you might just be able to get your glasses in here if you wear specs. Maybe with a bit of finootling, but it's not really wide enough for that. Now I need sight correction as I'm getting older of about 1 to 1.25 for my glasses, and I cannot see the image super clearly. However, if you are a young person or you have really great eyesight, you will not struggle with it at all. There are versions of this kit that don't include this piece. If you have goggles already, then of course you can use those. 2 antennas, not sure if it's full diversity. There's a turn it on and off and access the menu, a search button to find the right channel, although mine came all set up straight out the box, the ability to change the band and channel, and also to do recording on a little SD card if you want to do that. It is charged via the USB port in here. There's no access to the internal battery, so once you have played with it for a while, it's good to kind of plug it into the USB port. It'll go red when on the charge light when it's charging, and then when it's finished charging, it'll go green, and you know you're good to go. Similarly with a car, you plug it in and the lights will pulse front and back, and then when it's all charged, the lights will be solid. In terms of driving it around, it is incredible fun. It is a lot quicker than some of the other little tabletop mini cars that I have had in here. It is easy when you are being aggressive with the throttle for it to break traction and just to spin in place. The fact that the lights are on here and you can control it all, as well as the little FPV camera from the remote, is a really cute trick. There is a button on top which I'm guessing controls the channel for the VTX part of the camera, which means that if you had several of these, you could all work it so that you could all see each other's signals nice and clearly. The FPV camera image is basic, but actually works nicely and is perfect for the kind of indoor running around on flat floors that you're going to use this thing on. Power from the camera is 25 milliwatts, which should get you around most houses without any problems at all. So there are lots of options for this. You can have the car on its own, or you can buy it with the controller, or you can buy it with the FPV goggles, or as I have it like this, the entire kit. This is, as I said at the beginning, a fantastic way to get someone into the hobby and have a lot of fun. And particularly in the winter, if you could get a couple of these, you could have an absolute blast. The remote is very easy to use. You do need a little bit of practice with it though, only because the power of this little thing, how quick it is, you cannot just jam your thumb onto it. It'll immediately break traction even on really good surfaces. So you have to drive this thing as though you're driving a scale electric, if you remember that from when you were a kid, where if you went into the corners with the throttle fully on, there's a good chance the car would spin off. This is kind of the same as well, even on the lower speed setting. I love the lights on the car. They look fantastic at night, and they make it easy to find when it disappears under the sofa as well. But that low ground clearance does mean that anything but a super flat floor is going to cause problems for you. I do wish they'd bring a version of this out that had a little bit more ground clearance, just so that when you're doing all the FPV stuff, you have the option to run over carpets and things like rugs as well. Disappointingly, the focus in the goggles is definitely aimed at those with really good eyesight, and sadly there isn't quite the room inside to wear anything but the smallest spectacles if you do need sight correction. I would say that if you can't read things close up to your eyes, then the goggles won't work for you. But if you are looking for something to play with, this is fantastic fun. Just zooming it around, annoying the dog or cat in the house, or potentially even getting with your mates and laying out a little matchbox size race course could be immense fun. Again, links down below to all of this if you're interested. And do remember that the Just Air brand that this is sold under is all part of the same group that now includes Diatone and Mamba. Thank you for spending your time today watching that video. You can find me in all the usual places on social media, and if you're trying to learn about a subject, then check out the playlist. All of my videos are organized into easy to follow playlists that if you're trying to learn a topic will take you from the basics right the way through to some pretty advanced stuff.